Welcome back to another Q&A here at Be Inspired Counseling and Consulting. I have Sharletta Tennie with me today, who is going to share some strategies of how to set effective goals. So if you are somebody who says, you know what, there are things in my life I want to make happen, I want things to change, I want to, like, whether it be learn this new skill, change this thing in my life, but I have a hard time knowing where to start or how to set goals that I can actually gain some momentum and achieve, then you want to be listening to us today. Okay, so stay tuned, don't go anywhere, and hang tight with us as we kind of talk about this topic today. So welcome, Sharletta.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to be here today.
Yeah, well,
I'm
thanks for
so
being here.
excited. Yeah, I'm excited
Well,
about
tell me,
talking
what
about the
are
topic for
goals?
today.
Woo, me
Okay.
too, because I love some goal setting now. What are goals and why are they important?
Okay. So a goal is basically like a target that a person wants to reach. You know, when you think about your life, you think about your future and how you want your future to look. Sometimes you can have this vision or this picture for your future. And you know, you're here in this place, but where you want to be is another place. Well, your goal is going to be where you want to be, but you have to set goals to make up for the in between. How are you going to achieve the life that you envision for yourself? And you know, you think about a goal isn't something that you just, say into the atmosphere and it's just going to happen. You know, when you think about
What?
pursuing a goal, and
You can't just like
no, you
think of
can't.
something and it appears.
No, that's not how it works at all. Pursuing a goal is going to take time. It's going to take commitment. It's going to take effort. But the reason why it's so important to set goals is because it helps you stay on track. You keep yourself accountable because I can say, I want to do X, Y, and Z, but if I never make a goal for it, then I don't hold myself accountable to making that happen. So it's going to help you stay productive and keep you on track so that you can really attain the vision that you have for your future.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, if somebody is wanting to set a goal, they're like, okay, this sounds great, but I've tried to set goals in the past. It hasn't always worked. I've set good intentions. By month one, I'm like, forgot even the goal that I set. How would you suggest that people set goals?
Okay. So in therapy, there is a process that, we can share with clients about how to set goals. And what we say is that they're going to be SMART goals. And SMART goals it's like an acronym. So each letter stands for something. So we're going to take it letter by letter of what a SMART goal is. The first one is that your goal has to be specific, right? And so when you think about a goal being specific, it means that you can't be vague. You have to state exactly what you want to accomplish. So it can't be like, okay, well, I want to be a better mom, which that's great. But specifically, how do you want to be a better mom? Well, okay, you may need more patience with your kids. You may, need more time management skills or, whatever it is that you want to accomplish. Don't leave it just vague and wide open. You just have to set very specific goals and state exactly what it is you want to attain. So that is
Okay.
the S,
So be
specific.
specific. Don't be
Yes,
vague.
be specific. Don't be vague. Be specific. And the next one is M, and that is measurable. So you have to think of how are you going to measure your progress? How are you going to know that you've achieved the goal that you set? When are you going to know I have reached the end of where I want to be? So for instance, if and I'm just thinking of examples here because I love to give examples to make it, easier to relate to what we're talking about. So if you think of a measurable goal, if it were, okay, I, want to lose weight, that's great. but how much weight do you want to lose? Are we talking about 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds? You have to set something that you can measure so that you can know when you've reached that specific goal. So that is the M. It has to be measurable.
Okay. So not only
And
does it got to be specific, we got to measure it. So that means we need to know exactly what it is that we're going towards, what it's going to
mhm,
look like when we've attained it. And this could even be, I'm thinking too, like you said, like in the maybe like a weight loss goal, how many pounds you want to lose, but it could be like also a goal of like, hey, this is how many times I'm going to show up for this. Like,
yeah.
I want
Mhm,
to be able to move my body once a day, right? And
mhm,
how am I going to move my
mhm,
body? And that gets it more specific. But how can you measure what it is that you're working towards?
mhm. Yeah, quantify it, put numbers on it. So the next one is A, and your goal has to be achievable. So you have to ask yourself, am I setting a realistic goal that I can actually accomplish? Because again, we're not just speaking words into the air, into the atmosphere. We have to actually hold ourselves accountable to the goals that we set. So for instance, if you're a person, and if we're using the fitness example, if you're a person who hasn't worked out in 10 years, the likelihood of you going to the gym 7 days a week for 2 hours is probably not going to happen. Um, so
Yeah, you're
you have
setting
to,
yourself up for failure if you do
yeah.
set that. Yeah.
So you have to ask yourself, is it an achievable goal? And then do I have the necessary resources to, reach my goal? So again, if we are talking about fitness, and I guess that's kind of like a running theme, we're just gonna go with that one. If we're talking about fitness, okay, can I achieve this goal? Do I have the resources for it? Do I have a gym in my area? Do I have in my budget to have a gym membership? Like when you think about a goal, ask yourself what needs to be in place to help you get to that goal. So the A is your goal achievable?
Well, and I often too, when you're thinking about resources, I often think about who do I need to ask or what do I need to learn?
Mm,
What skills do I need to develop to be able to achieve this goal? And being
mhm,
able, I've found, and I know we're probably going to get to this, but part of achieving goals is to also start out with small goals. And once you're
mhm,
able to build and meet that goal, then you will build some momentum to create even bigger goals. But you have to
right.
start somewhere. You can't just jump off. I often think about like, I don't think I'd ever be a cliff diver or anything like that. But I'm assuming that if I decided that I wanted to learn how to dive off cliffs into deep bodies of
Uh-huh.
water, right? I probably wouldn't go to
Right.
the cliff and jump off of it. That just wouldn't
Yeah.
be a very good idea. It probably cause harm to me.
Mhm.
But I'd start
Yeah.
maybe just a little bit above the water, and then I'd get to maybe a higher level and then try that.
Mhm.
And so I think, like you said, when you're setting goals too, it's kind of evaluating where you are right now and then
Mhm.
saying what could be achievable for me right now. But actually, after you achieve
Yeah.
that goal, what's achievable and realistic for you in the future could be very different than where you're
Right.
starting at right now. So,
Right. And I like that you mentioned that too, because when you think about goals and you're talking about not, jumping right into the huge goals, maybe starting off with baby step with smaller goals. When you reach those smaller goals, it's going to help build your confidence so that you go after the bigger things that you want to accomplish. So it definitely, helps build your momentum and your confidence to set bigger goals for yourself when you achieve the smaller ones.
absolutely. So, what is this R right here that we're looking at?
All right. So the R is for relevant. So you have to think about the reasons why you are setting this specific goal. For instance, if we are talking about fitness, if you're saying, okay, I want to lose 5 pounds, okay, or I want to lose 10 pounds. So what's the reason that you want to do that? Is it for health reasons? Is it because, you need to lower your blood pressure? Or is it because of, I just want to feel better again. I want to fit back into my favorite pair of jeans, or I want to look good at my best friend's wedding. You have to ask yourself, what is the reason why I set this goal? And those times when you want to quit, because again, it takes commitment, it takes effort. You're not always going to feel like sticking to your goals. But when you think about the reason why you set those goals, then you say, okay, even though I don't feel like doing it right now, I'm going to go to the gym today because I remember that I want to fit in those pair of jeans again. So, remembering the reasons, reminding yourself of why you're doing it, and then reminding yourself of the benefits of achieving your goal. And then the last thing, when you think about it being relevant, does it align with your values? Does it align with, what is important to you? I use the first example of a mom who's just like, I just want to be a better mom for my kids. Well, is that a value of yours? If family is important to you and if your children are important to you, then that's why you set that goal of, I want to be a better mom. I want to be more patient to my kids. So R is for relevance.
Yeah, and I love this because I think whenever we're doing anything in our life, we have to really connect with why it's important for us to
Yeah.
go there. And I think it's important because oftentimes when you do start off on this journey of trying to achieve a goal, especially if it's one that may be more challenging and difficult, going
Mhm.
back to why you're doing this is
Mhm.
a very powerful motivating force to help you
Yeah.
keep going. Because
Yes.
sometimes, it will get hard, or there might be days where you feel really good about it and you start off on that journey to achieve this goal, and then it gets
Mhm.
difficult. Well, it's always being able to know, okay, well, why again is this important to me? And,
Right.
I know that a lot of people who set New Year's resolutions, which is a little bit different than goals, but can be very
Yeah.
similar. A lot of times by
Mhm.
the time it gets to February, most people have given up on this resolution that they were trying
Yeah.
to do for their life. But I think
Yeah.
part of this reason is because they may not be super clear on their why. They may have not
Mhm.
set an achievable goal to start.
Mhm.
They may have not really considered, how am I going to measure my progress? And so these are
Mhm.
just a few steps to be able to set a goal that really you can actually achieve. Because when you do achieve it, you do start to get on this, what I call, Sharletta, like a success cycle, which means that once you
Mm.
achieve this, then it's going to give you, like you said, that confidence and
Mhm.
reinforce the fact that maybe I can actually do the things I set out to do.
Right.
Versus if you set things too wide, too big, or you don't understand the reason why you're doing
Mhm.
it, when a rough patch hits, then you might say, okay, I'm going to throw in the towel. But
I'm
being able,
done.
I mean, because it's true. Some of these goals are hard work. I mean, it's change, it's
Mhm.
behavior change, and behavior change is not easy for anybody. If it was,
Right.
then we'd all be doing it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
this may
Very
go into
true.
the next thing that I know you're about to talk about, but it's the T in setting a smart
Mhm.
goal. What is T, Charlita?
Yeah. So T means that your goal has to be time bound. So you have to set a specific time frame for when you want to achieve that goal. Ask yourself, how long is it going to take me to achieve it? So if we're talking about, okay, the 10 pounds, because you want to fit into your jeans again, okay, it's not going to happen tomorrow. You have to be realistic with the time frame for it. But you may say, okay, I know if I can lose 2 pounds a week, man, in 5 weeks, I know that I could achieve my goal. So putting a time frame on it, again, because you don't want to be vague and say, I'm going to do this one day. I'm going to go back to school one day. I'm going to take, this exam one day. No, you have to say, I'm going to give myself 3 months. And within this 3 months, I'm going to schedule the exam. I'm going to study for it. I'm going to do it. Or I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to get a membership. I'm going to work out. So again, it's about keeping yourself accountable and setting a deadline for when you want to achieve the goal.
Yeah,
So the T is for time bound.
and that's a great point because, we all sometimes work really good with a deadline. I don't know about you, Charlita,
Hmm.
but I know for me, if I have a goal or I have a deadline that something's due by, I miraculously get it done by the deadline.
Yeah, yeah,
But
for
if I don't
sure.
have a time limit on it, then I can push it to the next day or to the next day
Hmm.
or maybe one day. And so
Hmm.
having some kind of time structure really does help, like you said, hold yourself accountable. But I think what it also does is that even if you don't meet it in the time that you set for yourself, you've at least learned something. So I have the problem, I'll use myself as an example. I have the problem of often thinking things are going to get done in a shorter amount of time than reality entails, because I've never done it before. So if I'm doing something I've never done before, sometimes I don't always know how long it's going to take me to set a realistic time goal. But what happens is, at least when you set this time, like this is when I hope, and this is where I want to hold myself accountable to achieve this by, once you get to that date, even if you haven't accomplished it, at least you know now, okay, you go back and you reinvent it and say, okay, I realized I tried to do it in this amount of time. That may have not been super realistic, or it may have not been, I may have not have thought about this or accounted for this, but you can always go back and reset that time. Okay, well, I went and took that exam. That exam didn't go the way I wanted to, but I'll give myself another 3 months to get it done, you know? So whatever it is, those time markers, it kind of relates to the measure part of it too. That'll help you kind of have these mile markers to say, this is the point of reference I can look back on. So Sharletta, how can counseling help someone reach their goals?
Yeah. So, in the counseling setting, people come in because they have some kind of problem, they have some kind of concern that they really just need help with. And an individual, you talked earlier about behavior change. An individual may come in and they may know, okay, I have this problem and I know that something needs to change, or I know that I need to change, but I'm not quite sure how to get there. And so the job of the therapist, what we do is, we kind of talk with you about what it is that you're having issues with, what your concerns are. And what we're going to do is we're listening and we're picking out different things that can be goals for you. But I want you to realize too that in counseling, it's not just the therapist, making a list of goals. What we're doing is we're collaborating together, and, we're setting goals together. So a therapist is going to help you figure out how you can reach those goals. For example, a client may come in and say, okay, my goal is to lose weight. Well, again, that's very vague. But as you work together with the therapist, they may help you get to the end of that. And we go through how those SMART goals are going to look. And instead of it just being vague and saying, okay, well, I need to lose weight. Then after we've gone through therapy together, it can be, I'll go on a walk on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays around my neighborhood for 30 minutes because I want to lose 15 pounds by my birthday on November 6th. It's very specific and it holds you accountable to those goals. So a therapist is going to help you identify your goals and help you, figure out steps to get you to where you want to be and the vision that you hold for your future.
Well, and that can be, like you said, even if the goal is, I want to feel better, or I want to be more present in my relationships, or I am stuck in a depressive episode and I do not have the motivation to get out of bed. It's like, okay, well, what is our goals that you would like to get out of this therapy process? So that way I can help you achieve that and we can work towards progress. And I know you've learned this, Sharletta, myself included, but progress is not always linear. So I always tell people when they do come in for counseling, like, this is not going to be a straight path. It's not that you're going to come in for a session or two and we're going to have reached your goals, because again, that's not very realistic, to be honest with you. So if you're listening to this and you're like, hey, I've never been to therapy before, what can I expect out of therapy? Well, I can tell you right now, although we wish we had one, we do not have magic wands.
We don't. We don't.
You don't have one, Sharletta? You're not having one?
I don't.
Okay. So we don't have magic wands, but we are here to walk the journey with you to help you achieve the things that you want to achieve for your life. And what we've found is that when people show up and they say, I'm committing to myself that I want to see things differently for my life, no matter what area that is, and they can show up consistently to do the work that is required of them to have the change that they want, they never regret it. I have not had one client in my over decade years of doing this that got to the end of our process and said, I wish
Mhm.
I would have never started this journey. I wish I
Yeah.
would have never found out more about myself. I wish I would have
Mhm.
never dug deep and figured out the root cause of why I continue to get stuck in these patterns in my life. Not one person.
Yeah.
Have you met
Mhm.
one person yet, Charlene?
I have not. No.
No, because at least when they show up and do the work of even in counseling
Mhm.
to understand more about themselves, understand how to move forward in their life, they have at least learned something. They are going to
Right.
walk away with some increased awareness of themselves, of their relationship. It doesn't mean that they always get to their goals. I mean, I hate to say this, disclaimer,
Mhm.
or that, but sometimes their goals change. So the process of
Mhm.
discovering themselves, their goals shift and change. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's just starting and setting something because you're going to
Mhm.
learn something in the process. And a therapist like Sharletta will help you identify those goals that you may have and help you figure out a plan that's going to work for you to get
Mhm.
there,
Mhm.
whatever that may
Yeah.
require. And it may sometimes do uncomfortable things. Like sometimes we have to delve in. I'm not even gonna lie. People don't want to talk about this. We sometimes have to go back to childhood and talk about things.
Mhm.
We sometimes have to dive into difficult communication patterns or emotions
Mhm.
that nobody likes to experience. But if
Right.
you do the work of facing it and setting a goal, say, I'm no longer living in avoidance, I'm going to figure this out, then it will
Mhm.
be life changing, right?
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
Charlotte,
Very
have you set
true.
some goals for yourself and accomplished them and it's been life changing?
Oh yeah, for sure. Even just thinking about going to grad school and
Right.
graduating, that's a goal, but I don't regret, meeting it. So, I
Yeah.
really hope that, anyone who is out there and you're like, I need help with, just trying to get my life in proper order and get some vision for my future and set some goals for myself. I really hope that, you make an appointment and come by and see us so that we can help you reach the life that you have set for yourself.
Yeah. Well, and Charlene, if you can tell the people a little bit about um, who you serve at Be Inspired Counseling and Consulting and who you work with. So
Okay.
that way people can know if they're like, yes, all this sounds good. And I need Charlita to help me just bring some awareness to where I want to go in my life. And I need some help because I'm tired of staying in this perpetual cycle of maybe not being able to
Mhm.
take action, or I just don't feel my best and I want things to change.
Mhm.
Who do you serve and how do you help?
Yeah. So I serve individuals starting at teenagers, ages 13 and up, to adults, and also couples. So I serve couples looking for premarital counseling and also couples that need marriage counseling. So if you fall into any of those areas, I definitely love to help you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing all this great information. We're going to challenge you to maybe set a goal from this conversation. And maybe the goal is to call and get into therapy. Hey, if
Mhm.
that's the goal, then give us a call. Definitely.
Yeah.
And we'll help you get situated and set up and you can come see Charlita. But we hope that you take away from this that goal setting can be for anybody. You can always start today and hopefully have some strategies to effectively set goals so that you can see the change in your life that you want to see. So until
Yeah.
next time, thank you, Charlita, for joining us.
You're welcome.
And
Thank you for having me.
we'll be back soon.
Bye.